Hello, and I want to welcome you to a presentation where I would like to show you GitHub in a single page application way. So, my name is Uros. I'm a full stack developer. I'm a front-end architect at the moment at SNK and Hybris, and the focus is mostly single page application, model workflows, and technologies. The intro about this in this presentation will be about following. The point is to present the demo application, which is leveraging GitHub's REST API, which is course enabled, in order to recreate a GitHub web client as a single page application built on top of the Angular. The motivation for this is actually coming from the fact that I'm building some scaffolder tool for scaffolding enterprise-based single page applications, and I wanted to create some sort of a real-world example or demo for that tool, and then I leveraged this well-designed GitHub API, and I decided to use it and create my version of a GitHub client with a completely different architectural approach. So what is the difference? The difference is that it's completely HTML-based single-page application, the thing that you will see now, and on the other hand, GitHub is a regular web app with a full page reloads, except in a few places in certain components. And it also differs that in that way that this is completely responsive web application, while on the other hand, GitHub's web client is not responsive. Of course, they have a mobile web app, but it's a different approach. And the different approach is also kind of reflected actually in a repository details page where I have added some sort of a tree-based view, while GitHub completely reloads the page when you want to drill down the hierarchy of folders or files, which kind of loses the possibility to completely see the project tree. For me, that was important. And the things that I want to point out is the development speed for developing the time used to develop this application was quite low. I mean, it took approximately 1 week of non-full-time work, and most of the time I spent like dealing with the HTML markup because I kind of wanted to replicate it. And I used it with a Bootstrap without writing a single line of code. The project itself actually is configured to use Sass, but I didn't use it, and the point was just to leverage a REST API connection and to kind of create a demo for the tool that I built. The plan is to expose it online once everything is implemented. So that's it, and now I'm going to jump to the actual application. So on the right side here you will see a GitHub page. On the left hand side you will see the application. Bear in mind that application is, it's just an early phase and it doesn't have a lot of things, but the point is it has some of the things which are important, and you will be able to see that. What you see now is actually the thing that the scaffolder tool that I built actually scaffolded out. It's a home page. But the point is, once you click on this users menu item, you will actually start leveraging GitHub API. So once I click on the GitHub users, I'm going to be retrieving the list of GitHub users, and as you can see, I've opened the console so that you could see what is the network, what's going on in the network tab. So I get a list of GitHub users, and I can select whatever user I want to select here. In this case, I'm going to select Tom Preston, whoever that person is, and as you can see, I'm actually at this point calling the API, and I'm retrieving first his details, as you can see in the first API call, and the details are actually retrieving this, are used for this a side element, which is displaying the details of the user, GitHub user. You can see that he has a full name, he has a avatar image, he has like a username, location, which if I click, it's gonna actually show the city where it's like the actual location of the user, which is San Francisco. You can also see like his website, and everything is actually retrieved from the GitHub, from this GitHub API call. And also you can see that he has certain number of followers, certain number of users that he is following, and also public repos and public gists. I didn't bother implementing this further, but definitely that can be implemented. At this point, once you click this, you should be able to see, just a simple API that should be connected with this feature. But the point is, the second API call that you get once you get on a details page of a certain user is actually repos, where I am actually trying to recreate this specific popular repositories widget which GitHub has. So it might be best if I actually try to show my profile. In this case, it's Uros, and the list of repositories which are popular are actually displayed here. Essentially, I'm not so creative, I'm just getting the last 5 repositories from the list of all repositories. I'm not sure how GitHub had it implemented here, but it kind of matches in 90%. So you can see, for example, that I also have repositories and public activities as they have them. If you click on repositories on GitHub, on the right side you will see GitHub repositories, full page reload, and blah blah blah. But if you click here on list of repositories, I'm going to actually clear the network tab. I'm going to actually issue an API call which will just fetch the data and update certain container here and display the list of all repositories that I have. Repositories, everything in GitHub API is paged, but I didn't bother implementing that, so for the demo purpose it was not relevant. So you can see that I have certain repositories. This was quite interesting. Actually, this not so much. Repositories is always like almost always it's exactly the same type of template per item. But the point is, if you see public activity, this was actually a little bit interesting from an implementation perspective. When I click on the public activity, I get another full page refresh where I see the activities that I had over the time. On this side, if I click on public activities, I'm going to execute another API call to the activities, or to the events actually API endpoint, and it will return a data. So GitHub actually has a lot of what they call types of events, and it really, I didn't have an intention of recreating template, which is this thing here, which kind of differs from a event type to event type, and I actually created quite a few of them, but I didn't bother in replicating absolutely every event type because I'm not even aware of all the types. But as you can see, I have actually a default template which just kind of displays the context, the data, the payload that they are returning for this specific event type. And that's my template. That's my fallback template in case I didn't implement it, one specific type template. But other than, for example, member event type, which I didn't implement it, you will see that all the other event types, in my case, for this user, are implemented. And you can see that I have created a repository, created a repository called user management client on this date, which corresponds to this thing. That I have forked certain repo, and that's exactly corresponding to this one. And then that I have also commented on certain issue, which is this thing. We have a link also to it. We have a comment. There's also like push to a master, and all like certain push to a master at this repo with these commits, which corresponds to this thing here. To the right, this one, on 4th of May, and so on and so forth. It's quite interesting, and yeah, it works, as you can see. Again, this type of event is not handled. I don't have a template specific for this type event because my application is not aware of it, but at least fallback default template is there to just display the context. And yeah, that's about it as far as events are in question. But on the other hand, I want to show you that I have actually implemented also repository details, and if I want to see URL i89, which is some library that I wrote, I can just kind of click on it. I'm going to again clear the console so that you can see that what happens in the network tab. At this point, once you click on a user on the specific repo, there I had to execute quite a few API calls, to be more precise, 4 API calls. So one is actually to get the details of this specific repo, mostly like the title, like general information, like when it was updated last time, and the description. But also it returns a lot of metadata, which are mostly links to all other, data related to this repository. So I had to execute actually an API call to the branches endpoint to get all the branches which are presented here in this drop-down widget, which is corresponding to this one. Yeah, and also I have implemented this API call to a tree endpoint, because to a specific tree endpoint and specific SHA, because I wanted to actually retrieve this tree, which is actually showing the files related to this repo. So you can see that they're quite similar, and also in addition, I had to execute an API call for a specific file. In this case, it's a README file. I'm always trying to get the content of a README file if it's present in the repo. So, and I'm again presenting it just like GitHub does on the right side. So 4 API calls to completely replicate this page. Not completely, because also note that the GitHub client is in this case not responsive. On the other hand, here it's completely responsive. I don't have a scroll bar, horizontal scroll bar. Also, I didn't implement this, didn't want to bother with that, but I implemented this minor feature that they have, which is copying the actually HTTPS URL. And yeah, you can see it here in action. If I click it, I have copied something in the dashboard, in the clipboard. And if I come here and I kind of click this thing, I'm gonna just kind of paste it. If I can, I should paste it here, and it's there, as you can see, so it's working. Anyway, yeah, coming back to this thing, one interesting thing that I want to show you now is the following. So if you click on, if you want to see the content of this specific nodes of this specific folder, GitHub actually issues another full page reload and shows just that folder sub items. In this case, I took the liberty to do it differently, and for example, if I want to see the inspect example folder, I can click on it and it executes an API call, as you can see here, and retrieves this subtree, and I can drill down as much as I want, and incrementally it will add another API call, and I can see like a JS and folder, and at the end I can see the settings file, for example. By the way, I can toggle it in case I want. I can completely toggle this. I can come back, blah blah blah. If I expand it, it won't actually execute API calls, it's caching the data. If I want to see the settings file content, I can click on it, it's going to execute an API call, retrieve the data, and scroll down to the container area where I'm displaying just the content of the file itself. So, in general, yeah, also one thing to point out is I can actually change the branches. It's also implemented. If I clear this out and execute another and change this, it's gonna actually retrieve the response back and should update the tree, but it seems that I didn't implement it, so forget about that. Anyway, yeah, that's it. You have like a full breadcrumb thing in place. You can like come back to repositories. It's gonna come back to repository view. It gets 2 API calls again for the details of the user and the list of repos. You can come back to the users list and you can select some other user, let's say this guy called Chris, and we can see his Facebook repository, and it's all working as expected. You can see that the readme file is there, it's parsed and displayed, and I can see the libraries which he used, which is jQuery in this case. It's retrieved and everything is working as it should. One more thing to notice is it's fully, as I said, responsive. So if I increase this on this page, it's not so visible, although it can be at some point. Once I hit certain breakpoint, I'm gonna actually, you know, kind of present this in a full width. So you just get a horizontal, actually a vertical scroll bar, and it's optimized for mobile. You get this also hamburger menu where you can drill down and come back. You can come back to the list of users, and yeah, you can like see that the users list is actually also responsive completely. As I increase this, it's gonna change. So yeah, that's it. I hope you like it. At some point this will be publicly available, and feel free to comment out and give me your impressions. Thanks a lot, and all the best.